Your Majesties, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for always returning. I'll take you to something that will blow your mind today. From the title and thumbnail, I believe a lot of you are running here. Your Majesties, to all of you who support me anonymously, thank you so much. To my channel members, my esteemed subscribers, you are loved, you are celebrated, you are appreciated. Now, there was a preacher called, I don't know, I hope I will get this name right. Is it Devin Rogers? I will leave the name there on the screen, who claimed that slavery got Africans to heaven. If not for slavery, prior to this time, I keep telling you things like this. I keep bringing you informations like this because there are people who have ideas like this. They are out there. They are out there who feel, and the painful thing is that they've got our melanated kings and queens into believing this nonsense, Your Majesty. If not for the fact that the white man, there is a documentary I uploaded not long ago. Maybe I'm going to leave the link at the comment section of this video or the description. You can check it out. This whole slavery, the transatlantic slave trade, all right? Everything that happened. I got to part 1. I think there should be another part 2 I'm going to upload subsequently, so you can be watching to understand exactly what went on, to the point that there were Africans who were unable, like, to go take a bath close to the water. They are scared because some of them go there, they are kidnapped while taking their bath, because these people hide around the waters. All right, the slave traders, these white men, the white Americans who came to steal people from here, because they only tell you, okay, your people sold you. Yes, there is a fact to that, but they relied on that and make it feel like this is how it was. They make us hate ourselves the more. But they never told you that they hide around corners, all right, and steal people while they were taking their bath. So people were scared. Our ancestors, a lot of them were scared even to go to the river. And then someone would stand up in the name of preaching, in the name of a God, and come to tell you that you should be grateful that you were taken away. That us who are here now, we are in hell. Then you who are there, you are in heaven. And I ask myself, what is the meaning of the nonsense? Your Majesties, because I don't understand. I don't understand. I thought they say heaven is somewhere up in the sky. So how come heaven have become America and hell have become Africa?
Now, an American preacher has claimed that benefits of slavery were that black Africans who were taken to America as slaves found the gospel and they are indeed in heaven.
I'm sure there's a lot of Africans that were brought over into slavery, which wasn't right, but they got the gospel when they got here. And you know what? I bet you there's a lot of Africans that if they hadn't have been brought over, not saying it was right, don't misunderstand, not justifying the slavery in the situation, but God, I still believe, used it. And now I'm sure there's a lot of Africans that got the gospel and they're in heaven right now because they got the gospel. You know, what would be better for them to have?
He also continues to say that Africans that remained in Africa free were indeed disadvantaged because they will be in hell.
You know, what would be better for them to have lived their entire life in Africa free, doing their voodoo or whatever, and then dying and going to hell, right? Or what happened? And then they go to heaven. They get the opportunity. Now, again, it doesn't justify it. The ends do not justify the means, but this is how God works. This is what God does in the Bible.
Not only is this completely and utterly offensive, but the audacity of someone to misuse religion in this way. First of all, the reason black people are religious is because they were already religious before Europeans arrived in Africa. Now you go to any place in Africa and you will find people already had their religions, and actually the Bible, a lot of the Bible is modeled on African languages. Now, here's the thing. When we talk about slavery, and he carries on to lecture the black people in his audience that they have nothing to complain about.
And we have black people in here. I don't think any of you guys were ever slaves. I was never a slave. It's like, oh, white privilege. You were never a slave. You were never living during the time, unless you're very old, like 60 or 70 maybe, or 80 years old, you're never even living during the time where segregation was a thing in this country. I mean, what are you crying about? Nothing even happened to you. You're just making up stuff. You can't look at the facts that I was reading and just attribute that to some kind of white privilege. It's not real. Get over it. Quit having all the excuses. Why don't you take some responsibility for your choices? Be content with whatever situation you were born into and make the most of it. God's not limited to your situation. He can do above, what we ask or think.
Now, here's the thing. The slavers, the European slavers, they were the Dutch, the Spanish, the Portuguese, the British, the French, they employed Arab slavers to raid villages in Africa. And those men, women, and children, they were put in chains. They had ivory on their shoulders, which they had to carry all the way to the coast. It depends on which coast. If it was East Africa, they would go to the slave market, which was at Zanzibar. And there, they'll be tied to the whipping post. They will be whipped. They'll be raped. And if they cried, they were thrown in the dungeon until the following week, the market day. Now, when they eventually made it into the ships, the conditions were horrific. They were taken to the Caribbean. They were taken to the Americas. And these slaves, the Europeans actually believed that it was economically cheaper to beat the slaves to death. And this is visible because most slaves died within 3 years of being taken to the plantations. And it was cheaper for them to go back to Africa and take more slaves. And for this person to insinuate that all of that was worth it just so that you could go to heaven, you wonder, what kind of religion is this?
Your Majesties, what is the meaning of this? I keep saying this, that sometimes at least we should use the God-given brains that we have. There is a reason why the Creator created us, and we have brains to reason. We have brains to reason. Now, I don't know how many Black people, Africans, melanated people who believe teachings like this, that slavery is an opportunity for you to escape going to hellfire. Yes, like I said, there are African Americans who believe this. And they come out boldly and make comments. And sometimes you read their comments and you ask yourself, but how do this person sit and assimilate? Like, how do you sit and have thoughts like this and believe in it and work with it? Where are your senses, Your Majesties? Slavery, when you begin to go back, you do research into what really went down. I tell you, the melanated people, Africans, are the people with a larger heart. Because when you understand the rate, what these people did to race, and you can still look at them, you greet them and smile and pass. No. We are more than humans, Your Majesties. We are just more than this flesh. Because this is the same we that were treated like this, and it's same we that still love these people even more than we love our own brothers and sisters. And they still come out boldly to make preaching, to preach like this, make statements like this. It's not seen as anything wrong, but when you counter statements like this, you two come looking for you here and there. So what do you think? You feel slavery was opportunity for you, Your Majesties? You feel you're not living okay? You ran away from the hell called Africa. They made us what we are today. They spoiled the continent. They robbers of everything. I was so happy when this whole revolution started down the Sahel. It exposed a lot of hypocrisy. All right, Your Majesties? It exposed the French and American government and all those who are contributing to the downfall of the continent of Africa. Because from the beginning, a lot of African Americans, especially when you are not born here in the continent, but you have a lineage, you have a connection to the continent, they make you feel like you shouldn't talk about that your connection, because it's an abomination to be an African or to be connected with an African, or to be someone of African ancestry. They make you feel that it's an abomination, because Africans are not people to talk about. Africans are like this, Africans are like that. They are the most wicked human beings on earth. But when this whole revolution started in the Sahel, a lot of hypocrisy was exposed, in the sense that we get to see, you get to see, even though they tried their best to turn the whole story, but the story still came out. Because right now we got a lot of Pan-Africanists who are out there and ready to reshape, all right, ready to reclaim the lost dignity of the continent of Africa. They were the ones helping us. We were wicked people. We were in hell. Leave us to be in hell. Macron refused. The American government, they could not allow Africans to be in hell and rot. This is hell. But what are you always doing 24/7 in a continent that is hell? Or in the continent that those who are going to hell are living in? What are you always doing in Africa? What are you always looking for in the continent of Africa? They deprive you, those of African descent. No, don't go to Africa. Don't go to Africa. But they are always at the airport. When you get to the airport, you look at them. They are everywhere. What are they doing? What are you doing? In a place where you have deprived others from coming, you are always coming. What are you looking for? You also want to go to hell? I believe no. So what are you looking for? This is how far we have gone. This is how far things have become. And I believe there are melanated people in that building listening to this preaching. And they're going to work with it. In short, they work with it. And that's why we could have people who feel that slavery did them good. There was another lady. Maybe I'm going to leave it so that you check it out. There was another lady who claimed, she had the same opinion like this man. But the painful thing was that she's not white. She's melanated. And she feels that slavery is the best thing that could happen to those of African descent. And it's quite unfortunate. Slavery was never beneficial. If we are who we are today, in the state we are today, it is because there were some people who felt that they were better humans. And they came down, they steal, they raped our mothers, they destroyed our homes, they stole our resources, and now they stole human beings. Because that was what they were doing initially. They steal people and go sell them. What do you think, Your Majesties? Leave your comment and thought there in the section, and I'll see you in my next one. Until then, love yourself, love others. Stay safe, stay positive. Always, Your Majesties. Bye for now.